Welcome back to Gearwire.com. I'm Bill Holland, and I am here with Drew Craig.
Hello, hello.
And the most hated man in America, Britton Weatherald.
Hello.
And this is Crosstalk, number 36. So, given that, let's move on to our first segment, Viewer Mail. Our first letter is from Danny C. from Oak Park, Illinois. He says, I've got a computer to buy to make for my home studio, and I want to buy the best computer for my money. I've got $1,500 to spend and want to know what the Crosstalk crew uses for DAWs and what advice they have on buying a new system. Well, Danny, $1,500 is not a lot of money. So what are you thinking, Drew?
Well, learn from my bad experiences. I have an HP right now. It's working okay. But you may want to just go ahead and buy yourself a Mac, an Apple. That's my suggestion. You know, I mean, it's obviously, if that's your total budget, you also have to filter in so many other things, like, you know, obviously your audio card, microphones, etc. But if that's your budget just for a computer, I would say just buy a Macintosh.
Now, the only thing about that, though, is, okay, $1,500, I mean, how much is a Mac these days? A MacBook, I believe, if you go on the website and get the educational discount, it ran me about $1,300, I think, after all is said and done, and that's like with the lowest specs possible. I mean, granted, that's 2 gig of RAM, but like, everything else was pretty low.
Depending on what you're trying to do, that should be enough. You know what I mean? Like, computers are, today, in my opinion, are starting to exceed what you need them to do. Unless, of course, you're tracking like 48 tracks, you know, doing outrageously large projects. But for like a normal home studio setup, most computers are kind of getting to that point where it's like good enough, in my opinion.
But he only has $1,500, so what we'd have left is $100 to $200 for a DAW. So what's he going to do? Well, I mean, granted, we talked to Cobra Starship, and they recorded their album on freaking, what was it, GarageBand. Which you can do. I mean, it's 24
whatever works.
192. I mean, they're releasing it on Atlantic, but still, you know.
Whatever works, you know. I definitely do recommend going Macintosh over, you know, a Windows machine any day of the week. Unless you really know Windows. If you're able to know Windows, you can save yourself a lot of money, but you do have to go into the OS and really tweak things and make sure everything's set up properly with the right service packs and all that shit so that it works properly. That's the bottom line. If you're not willing, if you're not comfortable doing that, the easy solution is just buying a Macintosh computer.
Well, and I use a PC at home, but honestly, I'm converting over to Mac for the same reason. I built PCs because it was cheaper, but in the long run,
a lot of money.
Well, you waste time. That's the problem. Your time is money, and that, you know, the few $100s you may save on a PC is actually all spent tweaking the damn thing to work right with audio. You know, my friend's a web designer, so he's going like, oh, well, PC this, and I love PCs for web stuff. But for audio or video, you pretty much have to go with a Mac because they're made to run that way. They're designed for that. PCs are not designed for that. Yeah. PCs, unless you really want to sit there and tweak, and like that's great if you have that kind of time, it's fine. But for audio, really, it's better to go with a Mac just because it already works that way.
Especially if your budget's $1,500, you can afford it.
Exactly.
If your budget's a lot lower, I suggest learning a lot about Windows.
And just remember, any OS is going to have its issues. I've seen both Pro Tools crash on Windows and Mac computers. It doesn't really matter. What you need to worry about is the specs. Like you have the front side bus, the reason why it's important is it's your pipeline, basically. It's how much information and how fast it'll travel down through, you know, a pipe. I know it sounds redundant, but you know what I mean? It's like how much width you have is how much speed you have. RAM is always important because you want to do onboard processing a lot of the times. It's also how fast, you know, things like your Windows will construct images and things like that, which is important. Like waveform construction happens because your RAM has to, you know, shell that out and then refill really fast. Processors are important as well too. You can get a quad computer for cheaper for Windows and all that stuff. You know, it's just you've got to be wary that you're either way when you're doing audio or video, you're going to be running a bare bones system. You don't really want to be surfing the internet too much on the thing, you know, and all these other issues. So all the home pornography has got to be put on like a separate computer. All right.
That's great advice, right there.
That's fantastic. Yeah, save that for like that'll be your e-machine. You can save your e-machine for the pornography.